Welcome to Mr. Smith and BrothaBluZen Between Cousins Show. I'm BrothaBluZen.
And I'm Mr. Smith. And today I'm starting a series on how to play acoustic guitar. I'm giving an overview on guitar anatomy, maintenance and upkeep, and how to tune your guitar. Let's get into it. Okay, we're going to start talking about the anatomy of the guitar, and one of the most important parts of the guitar is the strings, because they generate the noise that that allows you to hear the sound that comes out of the guitar. So starting with the guitar strings at the very bottom, they mount into the saddle of the guitar at the very bottom, and there's some pegs that hold those strings in. And then the strings go over the bridge at the very bottom of the guitar, and then they go up across the neck, all the way to the top, right where the headstock is, and there's what they call a nut, and that's where the strings go through like thin piece of plastic, and then they go into the string post. The string post at the top of the guitar, the string goes through the string post and is wound around that. And then in order to adjust that and make the strings tighter or looser, you see the tuning pegs / machine heads that are there that will turn clockwise or counterclockwise so that you can tighten up the string or loosen up the string depending on what you're trying to do. Now that we talked about the strings, once the strings are moving, then the sound goes through the sound hole. And then it is echoing or reverbing back with the resonance of the wood. And that's one of the reasons why they chose wood, is because it has a great resonation with sound, and it amplifies naturally. So the next thing on the guitar that we need to look at is the neck and then the fretboard. The neck joint itself is just the neck coming in contact with the body. And then the fretboard itself is important because that's where your fingers are going to be pressing down on the strings in between the frets. And then, so basically the idea is to make the guitar sound, you want to hold the string down in between the frets so that when you hit a string or pluck it or strum it, that it has a particular note that you're playing on that fretboard. The next important thing for guitar players to learn is the position markers. The position markers you can see on the very front, just beneath the strings there. They're usually pearl inlays. They can be other materials as well, but they're little dots. And those dots tell you where you're at. If you're reading guitar tablature, or you want to remember where your finger position is when you played a certain chord or certain note, the frets are numbered from 1 all the way down, starting at the very top. So the last portion that we want to talk about with the guitar is the soundboard, which is the very bottom, and that actually can give you more of a percussion sound. So you'll see some guitar players that will tap on it, or pop it, or they'll wrap their knuckles on it or something to get a particular sound while they're playing. So it gives them a beat or a rhythm to play to. So with guitar, you can play notes, singular notes, and solo and do that. You can strum, and you can also play percussion. So, after a while, you get the rhythm going and you can move forward with that. So let's go to our next slide. And we're going to talk about the maintenance and upkeep. So the maintenance and upkeep is, basically a guitar cleaning kit that I have on the right picture there. It's got a cloth to wipe it down and to clean it. And then it's got the string cleaner, because we get oil on our hands from our daily body secretions, and so those oils will build up and get on the strings. So after a while, they'll be kind of grody and crummy, and if you leave your guitar out, sitting out in your room, you collect natural dust, and that dust adheres to that oil. So so you do want to keep it clean and get a regular schedule where you are, maintaining it. The oil is great for the wood on the guitar, and then the polish, keeps it clean and looking fresh and new. The next item in the maintenance and upkeep is your strings. Strings don't last forever. They get to a point where you're trying to tune them and work with them, and they don't sound as well. They don't hold their tune, and it doesn't have a springy, bouncy sound that you want to help resonate that sound. The next one is, how do you store it? Where do you keep it? It's good to have a gig bag, to put your guitar away if you're traveling, or you're moving things around and stuff. You don't want to nick it up or damage the surface of the wood. And then one of the biggest things, especially for where if you're in a desert climate, there is humidifier packets that you can use for really expensive guitars. That's what you'd want in your guitar case, so that it has some humidity, so that the wood doesn't dry out. So that ends our section for the maintenance and upkeep. Okay, our next section that we're talking about today is the guitar player accessories. You can use these accessories for electric guitar or acoustic guitar. The first item that we're talking about is going to be the tuner. The tuner is, there's a couple of different types. This one is a standalone. There's one that Brian's showing there that actually clips to the guitar, and it will show on the face of it the letter of the string note that you're trying to tune. So as you play a string, then that meter is going to go left or right on there, and then that tells you whether you're going to be in tune or not. Usually it'll light up green if you're on the money and right where the tune is supposed to be, and if it's off, the arrow will point off to the right, but middle is the center there. This is good to have one that you can plug an electric guitar into, or has a microphone. This one has a microphone, so it's actually picking up the tune of my voice, and I'm in F now. This is definitely a good thing to have and a good accessory to have. The next thing, most important, is going to be the guitar picks. There are many different types and styles of guitar picks, and what a guitar pick does, it allows you to get more intricate with your playing and your picking of strings. And also on some of the picks, they're very thin where you can bend them. And those picks allow you to strum a lot more and move easily and glide across the strings. And then one of the other picks that we have, this is a really heavy pick. This is if you're, playing a bass or playing thicker strings. This one has grooves in it so that you can actually put your fingers in and hold it tight while you're moving. And sometimes you're moving your fingers really fast in order to get that string action, depending on what you're playing and the style of music that you're playing. The next portion I want to talk about is the strap. Basically, this is what holds your guitar to your back if you're standing up, if you're moving around. These are highly suggested if you're standing up. If you're sitting down, in general, you can take your guitar and you can have it sitting on your lap in the nook of the guitar where the round is. That's where, if you're sitting on a chair or a couch or something like that, that's where that's going to rest. And then your arm can go over the front of the guitar and then have your hand placed anywhere you feel comfortable to play. But this in general going to be near the sound hole. And then lastly, have an extra set of strings. If you're going to be playing and you break a string, then it's not fun. So if you have an extra set of strings, you can just replace that one, tune it up. And sometimes with the tuning, it can get tricky. But we're going to go into a little bit of the tuning. We're going to go into the tuning in just a moment. And let's go to the next one. So part of the tuning that makes that we have to know what each string does. So there's 6 strings that we need to know the names of. So the very top string is the number 1 string, is your the highest note on note string on the guitar, the E string. Then as we go down, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The strings get heavier, and they produce a different sound. So starting at the big string, which would be on this guitar, on the first string, I don't want to say left or right because it's not going to make a difference, but the biggest string, we're going to start there. That's going to be E. Then the next one is A. Then the next string is D. Then G. Then B. Then E. So it helps to memorize the names so that when you go to tune it, or you're going to switch tuning or something like that, that you're able to understand which string you need to tune to produce the sounds you're trying to make. So one of the mnemonics that I have at the bottom of the screen there is eat all day, get big, easy. So it's just a simple, E, A, D, G, B, E. And sometimes after playing guitar for, many years, it's just something I say to myself when I'm tuning it. And as you tune it, and you have new strings, you'll have to tune more often until the strings get locked in. So, so that talks about the strings and the string placement there. And you can see in this diagram, the strings are going vertical, and then horizontal are the frets. So those are the metal tabs on the fretboard that you're going to be placing your finger on the string in between to lock in and hold that note. Okay, so now we're going to start the guitar tuning process, and I'm going to see if I can get my my tuner to pop up on the screen here. So let me see here. Actually, let me do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to explain what I'm going to do at the start here. So we're going to start with the low string. And what we're going to do is we're going to pluck the low string and then use the tuner to adjust the pitch to E. So right now, I believe my guitar is tuned. So I'm just going to knock it out of tune right now by turning the tuning peg or the machine head. And so now you see it's a lot lower as I turn it down. So let me go ahead and put the tuner on, and we're going to tune this up real quick. We're watching the center of the screen, and there's going to be, when the light turns green in the middle, that's when we know we've tuned it correctly. So I'm going to demonstrate that right now. All right, now we're at the process of we're going to start talking about the tuning. And we're going to start with the lowest string, and it's the E string. And on the chart that we just looked at, we saw that the E string is the lowest string, and then there's another E string on the high end. That's why that mnemonic is good to remember. So we're going to start with the E string, and I've got the tuner set, and it's set for 441 hertz. There are some people that tune it to 432 for particular music styles or particular reasons, but for standard tuning in American music is 441. So we're going to start there, and on the lowest string, I'm going to pluck the string, and then the tuner is going to tell me where I'm at and how much I need to adjust up or down by turning the tuning pegs on the top of the guitar that we talked about earlier. So I'm going to start playing the E string, and we can see the tuner is showing us what note that is, and it's just wobbling all over the place. So I'm just going to try to hit one string, and so I'm going to start turning the knob on the tuning peg until I know this is an E string, so I'm looking to find the E. Looks like there's C and D, and then we're coming up, and we're looking there. We're getting close to E, and we're bouncing around there a little bit. So it's definitely time to change these strings. But now you can do minor adjustments. When you get super close, you see the red lights on either side going back and forth. That means it's not quite into tune. So in order to get it there, you just have to kind of play with the tuning peg a little bit to get it to land on where you need it to. So it's really close here. So I'm going to stick with where it's at right now, and I know I need to change the strings. And then I'm going to go to the next string, which is A. So out of tune on that one there. So I need to tune this up a little bit. And it looks like it was on a G, and then we're on getting closer to the A. There we go. We're gonna try to lock in as close as we can to get that solid green in the middle. That's gonna give us the note that we want to get. So the reason why we're tuning our strings is so that when we play chords and we play notes, it gives an accurate depiction of what you're supposed to play, and you get a certain feeling from that. And there's also different types of tuning. So now let me go back down a little bit because I was too high. And there we go. So I'm about in the center there. So like I said, when the strings aren't holding really well, it's definitely time for me to change these. So the next one we're going is D. So we did E, A, and now D. Oops. And then we're gonna, there's C. E, A, D. There we go. Let's see here. And we're almost on the money without having to do too much there, and we land on the green. There we go. It's about as good as you can get with these old strings on here. So then we have E, A, D, and then we have G. And so now that I did my first three strings, I have E, A, D. Then my next three strings on my tuning pegs are going to go G, B, and E. So the next one is G. Oops. Let's see here. So we're just going to play that a few times and get that G to lock in. And we're almost there. There we go. On the green. And like I said, it bounces back and forth a little bit. Just get as close as you can. And on new strings, you're going to have to play with them a little bit more to get that locked in. And then we're going to the last string. And that's almost at the E. There we go. So when you're done or getting close to done, you can always double check yourself on the top string to make sure that it sounds like the E on the bottom string. They're an octave apart, so if you have it tuned right, then it should stay where it's at. But if you lose tune, then you got to go back and fix that a little bit. So it looks like I've lost a little bit of that on the E string, and I need to go up a little bit higher. There we go. Those should harmonize together because they're playing the same note but in another octave. So if I've tuned it right, then it should be good there. That upper E is looking good. The lower E is still kind of wonky, but that will be what we need to move forward to the next part of the lesson. There we go. One more there. I think we're good there. Okay. All right. So we're going to practice now. So what we're going to do is we're going to play open strings. Since we've got it tuned now, we should have E, A, D, G, B, and E. And so those are the 6 strings we've been talking about from the beginning of the lesson here. So so open string E. And just to let you know, when you put your palm of your hand over the strings, it's called a palm mute, and it will stop the sound. So if you ever have a bad sound and you don't like the way it's sounding, put your palm over the strings, and that will mute them. So E, A, D, G, G, B, E, A, D, G, B, E. So I have something that's out of tune there. Something is not right. And so it sounds like that's the B. And so sometimes you got to play around with the tuning on there to get your... Let me see that real quick. Yep, just making sure. So that is there. So that is good. So E, E, A, D, G, B, E. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to practice playing one note on the fretboard, and we're going to play it about 4 times a piece. And after we play that one note, we're going to start on the E string, and we're going to start with an open note, and then we're going to play the first fret. So the first open note is going to be E, and I'm going to strum it 4 times with my pick, and just let that resonate a little bit. Then I'm going to put my index finger, my first finger, on the first fret. So let me see if you can see that there. So the first fret is the in between the nut at the top of the guitar and the first metal fret. So we're going to put our finger down and we're going to push down on the string, so it's as kind of as hard as you can, and then we're going to pluck. So, and then from there we're going to move up 1 fret and do the same thing. And this just gets your fingers used to pushing the string down. So this is a good practice. And you can do this on all of the strings. Today we're just doing the E string, and we're just doing 4. And you can also, we started off on the first finger, but you can switch fingers just to get your other fingers used to sliding up and down the strings. These are metal strings, and we have these soft fingers. So at some point in time, if you start playing or play more often, then you're going to develop calluses on your fingertips, so they don't hurt. But if you practice a lot, they will hurt, and then you'll develop calluses on there. So so this is, yeah. So basically, the last thing was moving up the fretboard on each string, and so we'll move up to the A string real quick, and we'll do that same thing. So on the A string, we're going to place our index finger on the first fret, and then we're going to, and if you notice, that sounds like a note that we've already played as I was moving up the fretboard on the E string. So the same notes that you can play on a piano, you can play on a guitar. They're just arranged differently in different positions. So there we go as we move up. So that's basically how you move up the fretboard, and we're playing single notes. And just to do a recap on there, our strings are E, A, D, G, B, and E. And I will be definitely getting some new strings on this guitar, but it's very good to show. Sometimes when you have strings that are, not willing to work with you too well, it's definitely time to change them. So yeah, so basically this concludes our lesson for today on the beginning lesson for guitar, and we'll go into some questions and talk session.
Cool. Hey, that's good stuff, sir. Hey,
Okay.
So what I was noticing, so I got mine tuned.
Okay, yeah.
But I noticed that as I was tuning them, each one I would turn it, then all of a sudden the one before it kind of gets slightly out. Is that
Yeah.
normal?
Yes, so that's part of good tuning. And if I don't know how old the strings are on that one, if they're new or whatever, but sometimes that happens. A couple years, okay. So
Because a couple years of sitting on a stand.
right. So sometimes they fall out, and that happens with any guitar. You'll tune it and you go back, oh, you lost tune. But you just do the best you can with the tuner, and you may have to do it a couple times. And when you go to shows and you see the guitar players up there, they have tuners plugged in, and some of them tuners like that you have on your guitar, and they just have to go through that a couple times to lock the strings in. Or the really big guys have the very famous people have roadies and stuff that they hand the guitar to, and they tune it and bring it back tuned. So all they got to do is play. So sometimes if you have multiple guitars, or if you're performing, you have one that falls out of tune, you just pick up your next one and you go. But if you don't have multiple guitars, then you have to be good at tuning quickly. And then also there's different methods that we may go through in another video that talk about an alternate method of tuning. If you at least have your first string, your E string in tune, then you can tune the rest of them. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yep. No, it does. No, it did, because when I first bought this guitar, I was going through and I was tuning it, and I was like, oh man, I actually broke like 2 strings because I tightened them too much.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like, it makes me really nervous as I'm sitting here setting it, because I'm like,
yeah,
too much. But what was I gonna say? I don't even know why that's even registering. Do you find that acoustic guitar versus an electric guitar, does acoustic guitars tend to get out of
tune?
I guess tuning.
Yeah. Yeah. So
electric guitar, or
they're both the same. They can fall out of tune. I mean, I think that in my experience with my own guitars, that my electric guitars, when the strings are new, it's like every time you play it, you got to tune them. So acoustic guitars, you do have to do the same, but I think that the refractory time is less. So you shouldn't have to tune up an acoustic as much, depending on the strings you buy. So and I'm not like a real big string guy. I found a good one, and I stick with it. I like certain brands like Diodario, that have a bluesy type of sound. There's Ernie Ball Super Slinkies and Ernie Ball, their whole line of strings that are really good. So sometimes it's going into guitar, or going into a music store and listening to different guitars with different strings on it, and find out what you like. And sometimes you may go through a couple sets of strings to find, I finally found one that I like and it sounds the way I want it to. And then also your music store, if you have a guitar and it's brand new, or something like that, and you're not sure, you can have them set it up for you, so that you have everything tuned and everything, and then you have a starting point to say, okay, it's tuned, this is the way it's supposed to sound, and then every time you come back to tune it, you remember how that sound is. But electric guitar versus acoustic, the biggest difference is electric guitar doesn't have a hollow body. Some of them do, but for the most part, they're solid body, and so the resonation that comes from when you pluck your strings on an electric guitar comes from the pickups that are placed under the strings. So those magnetic pickups are picking up those vibrations and sending the signal electrically, whereas here we're sending the sound out in the room that we're in. So on this guitar, I don't have any pickups or anything, but there are certain acoustic guitars that have pickup modules that are in the guitar that actually amplify the sound, and you can plug it into an amp or something like that.
And then when it comes to like guitars, because I bought this on not on YouTube, on Amazon.
Okay.
And I was just like, I'll get a guitar. So it did come with I think that you called these were nuts, right?
Yeah, so tuning pegs or machine heads, yeah.
Now the difference between, these are plastic. Do you recommend going with, like if I wanted to change these out and put on metal ones, do you think metal ones would be better? Or is it just depending on the string?
My experience is limited to only metal. So I'm partial to having metal tuning pegs and everything, because they lock in, they hold tight. I don't know how well the plastic does and if it holds up, if they used a good quality on there. But what happens is when if you ever take the strings off, you can take off the tuning pegs, and you can take off the string posts, and then it leaves a hole in there, so you can actually put new gear in there, and they do sell those pieces. So if you wanted to go to metal, you could.
It looks like there's like a nut that's holding it on. So just
Ex- exactly. You can take those things right off.
screws. There's like some screws here. So yeah, no, I was just wondering because I was looking at yours and I'm like, okay, he's got metal ones and these are plastic. And again, it's like I spent $100 on a guitar. I'm pretty sure that if I
Right.
spent two or more, that it would be probably come with more metal.
Right. And funny thing is, let me grab my other guitar real quick. This is an electric, and it has a different kind of stock head. So as we look into the screen there, the tuning pegs and everything are aligned differently than what we saw on the acoustic. So these are metal still, and on this one, right where the nut is would be on the neck there. They've got locking pegs. So this guitar will actually you can actually it has locking pegs on the bottom as well. So some guitar players that are really good, they can actually tune it just by messing with these pegs. But this is a very specific guitar, and I like playing this guitar, and I got this from Uncle David actually. He gave this to me many years ago. So, but yeah, so the tuning pegs, these can all be changed out. Usually, all the other gear can be changed out or on here as well. This just helps to keep it locked in on this particular one. But just wanted to show you that and show you the different styles that are out there and available. They all do the same thing, and you know, for the playability. Now, I did talk about the pickups on the electric guitar, and this is what they look like. So this is a double humbucker, and these are single coil pickups. So if I want a heavier sound, I can actually flip this switch on the guitar, and that switch allows me to toggle between where I want the sound to come from. So, yeah.
Cool. Excited. I'm excited for future lessons, sir.
Yes. So this is the first in the series. I'm not sure which series is going to come next, but we're going to talk about chords. We're going to talk about a little bit more of what the fingers do and how the fingers work. I did have a couple of props that I didn't mention today, and these are some plastic, basically finger dexterity tools that you can use. They have these in different weights. I got this off of Amazon. And basically, what I do if I want to strengthen my fingers, because I want to be able to play and I want to be able to move my fingers to grip the guitar and to make certain sounds. It's important that we have all the fingers being able to hold these strings down and press down. So this is one of the tools, and then this one here is what you would use when you are trying to stretch your fingers out and if I can get it on here. So basically, there we go. So basically, you would walk around and do this, and that helps your fingers. You could also do it with a tennis ball or something like that, or a little what's a racquetball, a little racquetball or something like that. But this helps you stretch outwardly, so that when it's time to get into some of the chords that you're going to need to play, it allows you to contort your hand and move your hand to move in different ways in order to flex and to get those strings where you need to. So yeah, so it's fun stuff. I get excited talking about it, and it's also fun for me because there's so many different ways to do stuff with guitar. All over the world, if you meet somebody that plays guitar, oh, he's got a different type of pick or different type of setup and stuff like that. So it's good to converse with people. But my biggest message for beginning guitar players is to have fun. You can learn to learn to play by ear. You can learn to read. I suggest learning to read and read music. That way you can go a little bit further with it, and you can do more with it if it's something that you enjoy doing. Guitar theory and stuff like that. So my suggestion is, if you have a favorite song, one of my favorite ones that I wanted to learn bass on was Green Day. So one of those songs came on, and I was just like, oh, I got to learn that bass line. So when I was able to play it, it gave me a sense of completion that I could actually play it. I liked how it sounded. I liked when I played it on a guitar or on a bass, I liked how it felt and resonated. So that feeling that you get when you play that music, that that intoxicates us. That's why we go to concerts and listen to people play live and stuff like that. So
Right. Yeah, I've always been. It's funny. I've been drawn to, like, I love music. I mean, it's grew up in the same family. It's like, going to church and parents singing in choirs and stuff like that. So it's like my dad played the trumpet. I think Uncle David he played something too, and they were all in bands. So it's like, so grew up with. I didn't learn anything. I tried to learn keyboard at one point, but I got bored with it. It's
right.
I'm more of an athlete where I got to be moving, doing stuff. So this is like a really interesting. It's interesting to me to try to learn this, because it's like, okay, it takes so much focus, but at the same time, I got to learn how to relax with it, right? So it's like this. So it's just finding this balance of, okay, I'm playing this note, and then I got to move to here, and it's like, and you got to really focus on what you're doing.
Right.
I watch people, like Eddie Van Halen, or even Steve Vai, or any of these guys, and they're just like, they're moving their fingers around, and I'm sitting there like, what are they doing?
Right.
Like, how can you even know that that's where your finger needs to be? And it's like, it's ridiculous, but no,
they're stewards of guitar playing, so they were spending literally hours. Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine.
Before the internet, when there was nothing to do.
Yes, no, there was no TikTok, right?
But I do find a lot of artists today that they just, I mean, they practice and they practice, right?
It's
just like anything else. Like, with sports, I won't plug myself right now, but
right.
Just getting ready for a sport, it's like you sit there and it's like you get up. I'm doing this exercise. I'm doing this with my qigong. It's like I got to practice it, before I can teach it, and it's just. So yeah, this is good stuff, dude. This is
right. We're going to talk more in the future. We're going to show some scales and charts and practice some things. I in particular practice with the blues scale and then just the major scale. I never really got out of that because I got what I needed, for the music and genres I was playing with out of those. But if you go further with it, then you can just do more with it. It just, if you limit yourself to those scales, then you're going to play those types of music. But if you want to venture out and play anything, then you'll learn those scales and be able to play it. So, but yeah.
Looking forward to it, sir.
Yep. So yeah, I enjoyed definitely teaching this class and doing the overview and talking about everything, and looking forward to the next series and deciding what the next series is going to be. So,
all right, catch you next episode.
Okay, all right.
I'm BrothaBluZen.
I'm Mr. Smith.
And we out.